Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. We are almost done with our run on the New Mutants. New Mutants number 52 from 1987. We are heading up to 54, which is Chris Claremont's final issue. Then we are going to do the New Mutants Forever miniseries, which take place after 54. But then we will not be picking up New Mutants until Rob Liefeld comes in and the introduction of Cable and all that. Because unfortunately, Louise Simonson takes over, and I love what she's doing in X Factor. But the New Mutants at a point were one of the lowest selling titles. I don't know whether that was Brett Blevins' art. That perhaps I don't think Marvel ever really gave the New Mutants a quality artist other than Bill Sienkiewicz. There was Butch Geist, or Jackson Geist as he is called. I think he did some great fill-ins. Rick Leonardi does some fill-ins, but the problem is that after Bill Sienkiewicz, there was nobody. I think Butch Geist did like 6 issues. I mean, it's just there's no continuity. So then they give Brett Blevins. Brett Blevins has a very wonky style. He's not your Wednesday Warrior type artist. And so, yeah. So we will not be covering, and particularly also, I don't own, I think the only issues on the Mutants I ever had were the ones that dealt with the from Louise Simonson's run, were the ones with Follow the Mutants, and they were really weird. I'm talking about there was some weird stuff happening. So yeah, we're almost done here with New Mutants. We'll continue with X-Men and X Factor, and then eventually the Wolverine and the Excalibur. That'll be coming up soon. So, all right. We've got Magik versus Sim, and this is Sim with the techno-organic virus, and then Bill Sienkiewicz is doing this cover here. So, all right, we are gonna we're gonna start here with a big trope from Chris Claremont, in which the the New Mutants are in a danger room session for like half the issue. So Grounded Forever is the start of our story, and you see Sunspot and Magma are walking through. We have our credits here. Chris Claremont, writer. Rick Leonardi is the penciler. Dan Green is the inker. Tom Rzakowski is the letterer. Anna Senti and Jim Shooter continue with the editorial. Rest in peace, Jim Shooter. And Dan Green, by the way. Alright, so Sunspot tears this thing. I'm just going to narrate it because I find these sessions in the danger room to just be filler. And so they have the Marauders here. Here's Scalp Hunter shooting Sunspot. Now he's got Magma. And so we're going to see here, Scrambler here, that this isn't going to fare very well for the New Mutants here. So we've got Cypher, Warlock, we've got Mirage, we've got Karma, Cannonball, Wolfsbane, and Ileana here. And so now we've got I'm sorry, Mirage teleports herself away. She's like, I'm out of here. This is dumb. And so she leaves here. And Karma tries to possess him. Here's Harpoon. So here's Harpoon, hits Warlock, and so we basically have half this issue in the danger room here. So, um, and we'll see why they're fighting the Marauders for the danger room here. So you can see Sabretooth takes out Rain. This is all happening while the X-Men are in Muir Isle. And so you can see that the New Mutants are dead. Of course, they're not. And so Magneto, I said Magneto, not Magneto, is the one that chose this program. And he's not very happy with them. And Sunspot's like, show off using your magnetic power to cancel gravity. Bet you wouldn't have fared any better. And so these guys are like, man, it was terrible, this and that, and they did their best and they failed. And so Magneto says 327 seconds, barely 5 minutes. Termination of student participants and casualties. Hardly a performance to be proud of, he tells them. And so Sunspot says, what do you expect? It was a top-line X-Men training session. And he says, are you not, Sunspot? The one here says, and are not you. So they, looks like, Orzakowski accidentally made a boo-boo here, who constantly maintains that you novices are the equal of the school's senior team. When the Marauders first attacked you, you were told to remain in the school grounds for your own safety. You chose to defy that command, and thereby place your lives and possibly the X-Men in jeopardy. The training sequence, these simulations or simulacrums, I don't know what that is, of the Marauders are derived from the X-Men's own encounter with them. Today's exercise, I trust, gives you an idea of how you would have fared. And so he tells them Xavier School is here not to simply to teach you the proper use of your mutant abilities like any school. It is to help you learn about life and through the difficult transition from youth to adulthoods. Your actions have proven how far you have yet to go. And Karma says, the blame is mine. It was to rescue me that the mutants defied your order. And Magneto says, I understand it, Karma, but I will not excuse. I expected better of you all. I thought I could trust you. I'll count on you as you, I hope, would me. It appears I was mistaken. Consequently, you're all restricted to the school's ground until such a time as you prove yourselves able to act with appropriate maturity and responsibility. And then he goes, wait, there's 8 of you. Where the devil is Magik? So if you remember, she had teleported. And so she's trying to take control of her realm back. The demons are all infected with the techno-organic virus. And so they're all rebelling against her. And so she says, you may have numbers on your side, traitor, but mine is the power, she tells. And so Sim is used to be her number 2, but now he's taken over. And so proud boast, cuteling, so what? Take a good look at yourself. Even when you win, you lose. And so she says, what matters, fool, is winning. And so she uses a soul sword and destroys him, but it's only really momentarily, because I think he reassembles himself. And so she's like, that was too quick, too easy. I want him to suffer. Just to make sure, though, I'll leave my soul sword and plant it in the ground to keep the creep from ever returning. And so she teleports back to Earth, and then Sim is like, ha. And so she's back at the school thinking she won, and then sees herself that she's back into her dark child incarnation. So she uses her powers to go back to the a normal kid, and so she sees a picture of Kitty Pryde and wonders where she is, and she goes, "Where are you when I need you the most?" Of course, she doesn't know that Kitty is hurt. Um, oh, she does know Kitty's hurt. Sorry, in the hospital with my big brother, an ocean away from here. Um, Sorry, I forgot that the New Mutants were there when the X Men returned. So that is my bad. I think that was New Mutants 47, part of the Mutant Massacre. So the New Mutants only had one issue, and then Chris Claremont removed them. And so here we have, it's really funny how big Xavier's grounds are. He's got stables and a lake and hills and a whole, acreage there. So she's brushing Bright Wind. I was gonna say Dark Wind, and she's talking about some of the stuff that she saw in her alternate future. Um, and then Rain's there, and so she had a different future. So, um, anyway, tell me, Danny, how do I prevent that awful world where all mutants were murdered from coming to pass? And she says, same way I will, by taking life a day at a time and hoping for the best. So they're gonna go for a ride with um, Bright Wind. I almost said Dark Wind again. And I like Rick Leonardi. I think he would have done great if they were going to give X Men to Mark Silvestri. Then I think they should have given the New Mutants to Rick Leonardi. Rick Leonardi is really cool. I like him. I like his style. For some reason, he was never more than a fill-in guy, except for Spider-Man 2099. I think he did that, and he did a couple issues of oh my gosh, the guy Cloak and Dagger. I was couldn't remember. I was gonna say the guy with the cloak. And so, all right, Magneto is here. And so he goes, a normal school day, if only it were the rule and not the exception here. Was I too harsh on them? It's for their own good. Easy to say, but how can I be certain? And so Karma comes through, and she says, "I have finished your correspondence, Monsieur. These letters require your signature." And he says, "Thank you." Um, and so she looks at these evaluation report cards and wonders if they failed. And so she's still there. He says, "Anything urgent?" She says, "Yes, my brother and sister, Leon and I'm sorry, are still missing. They disappeared the day the Marauders attack. They are they lost? Were they kidnapped? I do not know where they are, or even if they're still alive." And Magneto says, "I'm doing everything possible to find them." "Forgive me, Magneto. It is not enough. I wish to search for them myself." He says, "Out of the question. I must I stand idly by without even trying to help? Perhaps you can abandon those you love. I cannot. And if the Marauders are involved," he says, "would you fare any better in reality than you did in the danger? What use would that be to your family? All I ask, child, is that you trust me and accept that my dictates are for the best." And she says, "I understand, but I will never accept." And so he's going to try to rebuild Cerebro. It was hurt by Sabretooth when he went into the Mashing X-Men 213. He's going to try to put it together, but it does not work. He failed. And so he goes to see Ileana, and so he uses his power to turn his suit into his costume here. And at first, this looks like a rip, but it was just a color. And he's like, "Hello, Ileana. I have a problem, and I was wondering, hoping actually you might be able to help resolve me." He says, "I am headmaster. That means I'm responsible for you all, to teach you, to look after you. But what am I to do? How am I to deal with a student who deliberately flaunts my authority? If I tolerate such behavior, I lose all respect, and if I respond the wrong way, I might well drive the students away. So he says next to her here, he says, "You've got power. You could force obedience." That's what she says. Does being the strongest automatically give one the right to force obedience? He did that for so many years, but I love the face turn. Too bad it doesn't last. Without power, you're always a victim. Is that what you wish to be? You think you can beat me? She says, and look at that. That isn't why I'm here, he says. Why don't you just leave me alone? You can't help. He says, I have to try. Then maybe you better see what you're up against. And she uses her power and sees all the little demons here. Why so shocked? The Archimage is merely showing her true colors. And he says, I don't believe that. Suit yourself. But the New Mutants know the truth. So do Kitty and my big brother Peter. They know me for what I truly am. Maybe I'm tired of trying to hide it. I only did it for Kitty and Peter's benefit anyway. And once they die, there's no more point. All my powers, mutant and magical, can't help the two I love best. I can't help myself, can't help anyone. And so she goes back to her demon self and goes to Limbo here and says, looks like paradise, isn't it? I wonder why I even bother. The harder I try to heal this letter myself, the more I seem to win my war with them, the more I lose myself to the dark side of my soul. Kitty and Peter were my balance. They anchored me to my humanity. Without them, I'm done, she says. And so here's Sim again. And Sim says, easy solution to do that. Leave Limbo to Sim. No more magic, no more mutant powers. Ileana will be the sweet, innocent, lovely little girl everyone wants you to be. And Magneto does that decision. Demon is for Ileana alone to make. And so he freezes Sim with his magnetic power. And so he says, what do you want to do here? And he says, I'm sorry. His substance is organic circuitry. He could destroy him. And he goes, you do that for me? He says, you are my student. Your welfare is my responsibility. He says, but Limbo is my realm, and this mess is my responsibility. I have to take care of one of my own problems, don't I? And the way I do it is as important as what I choose to do. That's what you told me. And he says, let Sim go. I'll find a better way to beat him. And she grabs her soul sword here and returns to the room here. And so he looks at a teddy bear in her room and he goes, what do you want to be, a demon sorceress? Sorry, we both have things in our that we're not proud of. You a demon sorceress and I an evil mutant. Or we can accept what we are and go on regardless, learning and growing as we do. And so she hugs him. We could lose. Does that mean we should not try? Friends can aid us, but in the end, we must stand alone. And so the kids call him for a game. And she goes, you're part of a team? And she's like, yeah. And then she thanks Magneto and owes him. He says, my pleasure. It is why I'm here, Elena, and why it makes me so proud to that you have decided to stay. Next issue, Gala. So, New Mutants 52, Chris Claremont, Rick Leonardi, and Dan Green. Like and subscribe. I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.